Okay. Once again, pleasant evening, everyone, and welcome to this special edition of the P4PE Talk, which is a series of webinars that focuses on educating our executives about what is happening around our environment. Today's discussion is focused on AI, how AI is currently restructuring the world of work, and what executives across Africa must do in the short term to be able to take advantage of this. This is a fireside chat between Tomini Oni, a global HR advisor, and yours truly, Joel Omike, the HR godfather. In this particular session, we shall be focusing on Africa, but we shall ground our conversation on global information and news that we are receiving. And I'm sure you can relate with some of these conversations when we begin to share them. We shall also share tricks and tips as executives, what we should do, not just observing what is going on, but what actions that we must take in order to take advantage of this. This particular webinar is brought to you by P4P Institute. P4P is an enabler in helping organizations to advance in areas of business growth, organizational development, HR transformation, data analytics, and AI. We are well known for our consulting and advisory services, our capacity building and training initiative, and our regular research on performance management and the current research on compensation and benefit that is currently going on. So this webinar is a series that is introduced to help us to ensure that we examine how we could develop professionals, individuals, and teams and build our expertise in this particular area. I will stop for a while and invite Tommy to introduce himself before we introduce our agenda for today. Tommy, please, you have the floor. Can you please introduce yourself so that our audience can meet you?
Hi, Joel, and thanks for having me. And good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Tommy is the name. And I think for the last 3 years, I've focused on helping organizations in the UK, especially in the third sector, with a range of strategy and business development consulting work, including recruiting for a Middle East-based AI company that was looking to get into the UK and European market. And I've also just finished some work redesigning an organization for AI. But before then, I'd been in corporate up to the point of becoming Group HR Director for a conglomerate business that has more than 10,000 employees across 13 different countries and across like 18 different businesses. But going way back, I started my career with PricewaterhouseCoopers as a consultant, but I've ended up going across the world, working across more cultures, including working for Shell in Nigeria, in Norway, and in the UK. I'm happy to be here with you. I do not pretend to be an expert on AI. We're all learning because AI itself is quite new, and everything you thought you knew about AI yesterday could just be thrown in the garbage bin tomorrow. So we're all here to learn. Thank you, Joel, for having me.
Thank you very much, Tommy, and I like that conclusion. According to some of the professionals in the AI world, they say that the AI knowledge and advancement has a shelf life of just 90 days. That in 90 days, whatever has been developed, built, and brought out there is old school. So that means we need to be on the cutting edge of catching up with the advancement in various areas. Thank you so much. And once again, we are all welcome to this conversation. Just to put structure in our conversation, we shall be going through this agenda very, very fast in the next 45 minutes or thereabouts that we have, as the case is. We'll check what the current reality is, what is going on across board. We'll look at the problems that our leadership have with respect to AI. And then we'll present to you a playbook, a 90 days action plan that you can implement with a diagnostic that can help you to check your current institution and then decide what to do to move on at that point. We will recommend some ways to redesign your workforce and be able to be prepared and be ready for what is coming. We would also discuss the advantage we in Africa have over Tommy that is in UK. And based on this advantage, we could say, what do we do in order to take advantage of this? And of course, we will end with a good time for Q&A, giving you enough opportunity to interact with us and also to examine some of the things we have presented. As a way to start, and how many are we currently? Okay, I'm just going to defer. There's a poll we should start with, but I'll just defer that poll for another 2 minutes or thereabout and see whether we can get other people to join us. Let me go straight to the first part on the reality check. So what is this buzz about AI? Is it really true that we have AI issues that we need to deal with, we need to pay attention to, or is it some kind of noise that we are making across board everywhere? The reality is AI is already restructuring various organizations globally. Meta, popularly Facebook, has cut jobs by over 21,000 in the past 2 years, as the case is. And most of it is driven for the sake of efficiency, and they are focused on AI. Amazon, on the other hand, has done similarly. They cut not just jobs, they cut roles across 27,000, as the case is, because of their investment in AI. McKinsey, a consulting firm, also has reduced its workforce, has reduced its consultants by 10%, because now it is easy to work with AI and access data and access information based on the automation that they are implementing at that point in time. So a lot of companies are reallocating how they spend money, no longer on labor. They are now spending more on AI and infrastructure to support that particular AI. But how are these things affecting organizations? How is it affecting various organizations? Quickly, here is some additional news from the news to show you that, yes, every institution is affected. We have spoken about Amazon. Microsoft is there also. Microsoft restructured its workforce, and they cut about 15,000 jobs just last year, as the case is. The CEO confirmed that 30% of the company's code is now written by AI. Can you imagine? 30% of the software is now AI written, as the case is. So most probably in the next version of Microsoft Office you will see, or OS, that was built by AI by a large percentage. Okay, so AI is reducing the need of large engineers and supporting within the organization. Klarna, another institution, had cut their workforce about 700 roles. They removed the roles, replaced it with OpenAI. OpenAI is your ChatGPT, right? Unfortunately, after they did this, they quickly rehired the people they fired. They rehired some of their customer service executives because customers were dissatisfied with the way the system was running. And this is a cautionary study that you should be careful with the way you implement AI. Don't be in a hurry to just implement. It illustrates that aggressive AI replacement without change management can backfire on your organization. It can make the human AI balance a critical leadership conversation that you need to focus on. IBM also has cut about 8,000 HR roles that were replaced by internal AI chatbots across their global location. So for HR directors in our midst, this also means that some of your HR team members, their roles, their jobs are at risk also once you begin to see how this has been implemented. Other case studies we found in the market include UPS, a logistics and supply chain firm. About 20,000 of their workforce were laid off globally last year. and is one of the biggest reduction in the company's entire history as the case is. The CEO cited AI and machine learning and task automation as the reason why they implemented this. Citigroup, the bank that we are familiar with also, has also done similarly in overhauling their operations. They reduced headcount by 20,000, right? And they plan to do more in this year, as the case is. The CFO confirmed that AI enablement is the main reason, automation is the main reason why this has happened down the line. Workday is a software also, and Paycom also another institution. Each of these are making these cuts and adjustments in their organization. So the question is, what does this signal? What does it mean for us within our organizations, right? Is it helping us in any direction, as the case is? What are these signals? What are they trying to say? So it is not just cost cutting, right? It is a structural readjustment that we are seeing. Workforce models are now being rebuilt. They are not just trimming staff and reducing headcount, right? AI is shifting our conversation towards how we can expect employees to be more productive, as the case is. We're also beginning to institutionalize knowledge, no longer resident based on you have experience, you have this capability. AI systems are now able to codify the experience we have. And so we may not need people because a lot of people because of the experience they have. And then there are also cost structures that are driving this. It is becoming even more difficult to run businesses and operations that are people heavy. But tech-enabled businesses are thriving and they are surviving in real time in various areas. This is what the signal is saying for us. But how about us in Africa? What does it mean? What does this particular signal, what does it mean for us? We haven't shared the data on some of our African companies, but I'm sure those data exist. The real risk for African companies is that we are already running behind. We are late into this journey. Any further delayed decision-making on HR strategy can cost us dearly. A lot of institutions do not have a clear workforce strategy in transitioning from where we are currently into an AI-driven or AI-enabled workforce environment. And besides, there are limited data. You don't really know what the next organization is doing. We don't know what others have done. So you're not able to benchmark and compare notes a lot in terms of the adoption of AI. So we have a lot of exposure. So this means that there is need for us to think critically before we start any restructuring within our own internal organization. At this point, I'd like to share a poll for you. And after the poll, Tommy will take the conversation on the leadership gap and how to address some of the concerns that we find around us. Let me see if I can call up that particular poll. Let's see. So please respond to this particular poll. It's our very first poll. You should be able to see it on your screen. So it says AI in restructuring. Where is your organization currently today in the use of AI? Right? Are you currently actively redesigning your workforce? Or you are piloting AI in specific functions? Or you are exploring and currently discussing AI as the case is? Or is it that you have not even started at all? So please respond, and then we'll share the outcome of the poll. Thank you. We'll give ourselves another 30 seconds or thereabouts to respond to the poll. And then we will take it from there. Interesting. Interesting. Tommy, I hope you're seeing the feedback.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm seeing it, and yeah, it's almost like I expected. Yeah.
Okay, with this poll, right? I'm going to end the poll in 10 seconds. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, beautiful. So the poll is over and I'm sharing results. You should be able to see the result of the poll on your own screen. We had about 15 responses in total. That's like 60% of those signed on were able to respond. So Tommy, you can take it from there.
Fantastic. Thank you, Joel. And good evening, good morning, good afternoon again, guys. So just looking at the poll itself, I'm just going to say this is exactly the point that we are trying to drive, Joel and myself, that some organizations are redesigning work already, while others are still discussing AI. And that's the truth.
Mm.
So, and you can see we're exploring, we're discussing, and it is not our fault, especially in the global south. Yeah, even in the global north, the UK inclusive, it's not every organization that have started actively redesigning work around AI or piloting AI in specific functions. But a couple of organizations are already ahead. Now, let me backtrack to just talk about the layoffs that Joel has eloquently explained. The truth is, many of those layoffs are described as either the outcome of restructuring or cost reduction or efficiency drivers.
Mm.
But beneath those labels, actually, it's, it's a deeper context. So it's around AI will not always be stated as the reasons for the layoffs, yeah, but it is increasingly the enabling force behind them, yeah. So what is actually happening? It is not a simple story of AI replacing jobs, no, yeah. It is a structured shift in the economics of work. So this is the mechanism. Let me explain. AI increases productivity. Okay. So what we used to do for 2 weeks, we can do in 30 minutes or 1 hour. So, and the outcome is better quality, more efficiency, blah, blah, blah. Now, the same output requires fewer people. So just follow me on the layers, just like you're peeling the onion. So first is AI increases productivity. Yeah. So what you are able to do in 2 weeks with AI, you can do in 30 seconds, 30 minutes, 3 hours, depending on the complexity. That's one layer. Now, peel that layer again. The same output requires fewer people. So what you are able to do in 2 weeks with 50 people, AI can now do in 30 minutes, 1 hour with 2 people or no one. That's the second layer. Peel that further. Organizations are now redesigning processes, not jobs. Yeah. And when they redesign the processes, it then reduces headcount. So layoffs are not the starting point, but they are the outcome. So, and whenever you talk to any entrepreneur, any CEO, any founder, any business owner, and somebody gives them, these layers, the next thing they want to do is they want to jump in on the bandwagon. Say, you're going to increase my productivity? You're going to, achieve the same output with fewer people or no people? Then you're going to reduce that count for me overall, more efficiency, more effectiveness. Come on, let's do it. So that is the thing I would like to say about the layoffs that Joel has really explained eloquently. Now, there are three patterns of AI-driven workforce impact that I've seen. So the first one is substitution. Substitution in the sense that you used to have people do something and AI has replaced the task or the roles. So customer support, coding, even coding, which is another challenge. I mean, my son is studying computer science. He's our last born, and he's in year 3 in uni. Or is it year 2 going to year 3? He's studying computer science. And we had a discussion. Hey, computer science of all courses used to be like, hey, the gem. And now students in unis are asking themselves, are you sure I'm studying the right course? Because all the Python they are teaching me, all the coding languages that I'm, Fortran and the rest. Now people are doing stuff without writing code. So what is the use of my, of course it's going to be useful, but the dynamics has changed completely. And by the time they finish in another 1 year's time, it will even have changed furthermore, so deep. So that's one layer is the substitution part. Second one, I mean, the result of that is that roles will disappear. Roles disappear. Many roles will disappear. Okay. Now, the second part of it is the compression part. Fewer people will be required to deliver the same work. So first is substitution. AI replaces the people, AI replaces the task. Second is you now need fewer people to deliver the same work. So, and then the result is that the team will shrink from, I don't know, I used to lead a team of 54 people in HR in that conglomerate where I worked. If this happens there, that 54 number could shrink to whatever, 8 people, 5 people, and you'll be talking about across 13 countries, across 16 or 18 businesses. And then the last one is also the reallocation of tasks. So investment will shift, is already shifting towards AI and technology. So infrastructure, automation platforms, and the result will be that resources will move and roles will cut elsewhere. I don't know if you can take the second poll now, and then you can come in, Joel, with your question.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. It's really interesting to note that layoff was not the objective of CEOs, that the objective was productivity, efficiency, process improvement. Layoff was just an outcome. It's just an unfortunate thing that happens at the end of the day. Absolutely. Thank you so much about that. This is very interesting. Okay, so let me see if I can activate the next poll. Okay. So the second poll is launching. It's currently on your screen. Is on what is your organization's primarily focused on right now with respect to AI. What exactly is the focus? Is it the tools? Is it upskilling and training your staff? Is it process efficiency, or is it redesign of work generally? The poll is active. Okay, beautiful. We shall close the poll in another 30 seconds. in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, thanks. Thank you for sharing your opinion. So let me end the poll and then share the results for us. So what is your primary focus with respect to AI? Tommy, you can see clearly that right now organizations are focused on efficiency to see if they can do more with less. All right. And also there's a focus on how do we build capability, build staff, upskill and train. A couple of organizations we've trained for are in the baby steps, right? Come and create awareness. A lot of them are asking for awareness. Some have requested for deep end skill development. Teach our people to use ChatGPT, prompt engineering, AI agents. But what do you think about this?
Yeah, so thank you guys for engaging in the polls. What I would say is that most organizations start with tools and training, which is good. So, like you said, Joel, come and teach our people how to use AI, or let them do prompt engineering. By the way, I did prompt engineering since 2022. One of my colleagues at Shell, who's retired in Shell and joined the bandwagon early, actually started since 2006. That is behind the scene, because at that time, even many of us did not know anything about AI. So a whole lot of people have moved off from tools and training. And now the real shift is not in tools. It is in how work and decisions are designed. So let me share, a little bit of the tips around that for you. In the project that I worked on, I think 2 months ago, the organization just wanted to, they said, you know what, don't automate things, don't redesign work, let's not talk about job description, let's not talk about, no. Help us look at what we do, and let's divide them into about 4 different areas. That's what they said. So I was like, this is a unique way of looking at things. And by the time we did that, you know what happened? And I'll share that with you anyway. But you know what happened? We discovered that if they went full blast, we would have what we call the 70-30 workforce model. And this is not to scare anyone. But what they will come up with is the 70-30 workforce model, which is 70% AI agents and 30% humans like us. That's exactly what is going to happen if some of them go full blast. Reason is very simple. So they look at work in 4 different areas. Very simple, but it's very confronting. And I shared this in my newsletter on LinkedIn, I think on Saturday. So first is they looked at every work that has to do with coordination, scheduling, reporting. They bunched them into one group, and they said all of this work, any work that has a combination of coordination, layer tracking, scheduling, and reporting, could be almost entirely automated. So they bunched that into one part, which means they're looking at every work across the organization. So if my job involves scheduling, reporting, and all of those kind of things, doing some coordination, they say it can be automated. One group. Second group, if the job involves analysis, is analytical area of the work, layer trend analysis, diagnostics, and pattern recognition, then they said that task, that work could be largely handled by AI, but with human validation. So they put that in another bucket, second bucket of work. Third, any job that has to do with decision making is another third, it's a third bucket. And that is, they said that one should remain human-led, but increasingly it has to be informed by AI. So it's a human being would lead that decision making, but the information leading to that decision making is AI-led. And then the last bucket or the last layer is the relational layer alignment kind of work, which is like conflict resolution, trust building, and anything that has to do with emotional intelligence. Then those ones will be fundamentally human. So we now have 4 buckets of jobs in any organization, or in that organization, let me be specific. And so it will be first, anything that has to do with coordination, scheduling, reporting, automated. Every other thing that has to do with analysis, diagnostics, pattern recognition, AI. But human beings will have to validate the outcome. Then anything that has to do with decision making is led by humans, but is informed by AI. And then every other thing that is relational, like conflict resolution, emotional intelligence type of work, trust building, is fundamentally human. So when we step back, it was so clear that a significant portion of work is now in that kind of organization will now be seen as it's been over humanized. Can you imagine a world where humans live and lead, and you get an outcome that says, no, this job is over humanized? Back in the days, this would have been unthinkable. Joel, this is the horizon. This is what some organizations are looking at. And that's exactly what has happened in those kind of organizations that you mentioned. For example, in the consulting firms, they're trying to eliminate all the entry-level jobs. Why? Because they mostly have to do with analysis, report writing, coordination, collecting data, and all of those kinds. And they are now doing that with AI. The challenge for me, however, is that as they do that, they are eliminating all those roles, which hitherto has been the learning platform for young professionals, for fresh graduates. When you eliminate those kind of roles, then how are young people going to learn? That is the fundamental challenge that is presenting to us. But again, it's an ongoing discussion. Over to you, Joel.
Thank you. Thank you. This is an ethical issue. At the end of the day, the question is, how do we groom the next generation? And what it means is that we may have to make better AI that will help us solve that problem. And better AI means worsening the situation down the line. I like the perspective, and I'm sure our friends, our CEOs and heads of HR on board have captured those 4 layers. Very, very interesting layers. The first layer is 100% AI automation. The second layer is AI-led, human validated, right? That means AI will do a lot of it, and then humans will validate. In the third layer, it is human-led, but AI-enabled. And then in the last layer, 100% humans, talking about relational AI, EQ, right? As the case is, conflict management also, and trust issues. This is an interesting way of looking at how to move into AI as the case is. This is very interesting. But let's be clear. So as organizations would like to progress, right? What would be your recommendation in terms of a step-by-step case, right, to be able to achieve this? We're looking at, is there a 90 days plan, right? Maybe the first 30 days, the next 60 days, the next 90 days. What would you recommend that institutions should pay attention to as they progress on this journey?
Thank you, Joel. That's a very good question. And for me, I think when you say 90 days in terms of adoption of AI agents, not AI tools, not training, then I would take that 90 days not literally, yeah? Because that 90 days could be 2 years, it could be 1 year, it could be 18 months, it could be 12 months. It's not something you're going to jump into. However, we're going to borrow something from specialists in the areas of organization design, organization restructuring, organization development, because they should now be in the frontier of all of this, although they would require significant retraining, upskilling, and reskilling. But in terms of what should organizations be doing, I think it's to go back and review the whole organization. Yeah, that's the first thing. and try to, kind of classify work in the organization into those kind of buckets of, coordination, reporting, trend identification, all of those kind of things in one side, analysis, diagnostics on another side, decision making, and then of course the part around emotional intelligence, be it conflict resolution, having to build trust, negotiation with unions or negotiation with third parties, all of those kind of things in another bucket. Do that across the organization. Of course, start with one function, because everybody's job would have an element of those four factors there. That is definite. And then begin to then say to yourself, which jobs, which task are we going to absolutely ensure remains human? Don't go to, it has to be AI. Start with the human part, because, hey, it's going to be challenging as we go forward. That's very true. And if you give some people the space in this world, some very, I don't know how you call them, who are just looking to cut corners anyhow, they would go for AI everything. And of course, Sam Altman already said it. I think he's the CEO of OpenAI, that, the generation of $1 billion businesses was on the horizon. I think we've already seen one or two. One man running a business, and the revenue is in $1 billion, not naira. Yeah. So it's going to be challenging, and that's where governance also comes in. But look at all the work that is being done and decide which ones must stay human as an organization. You don't need to copy other people. You don't need to jump on the bandwagon. And then, of course, then do the ones that need automation, the ones that need AI. And one of the other things that I need to mention is that your data must be impeccable. So you cannot just jump over from automation to AI and AI agents, and you don't have the data to back up. Because that's what AI and AI agents will feed on. If the data is unreliable, it's just like your prompt engineering, garbage in, garbage out. So if you don't put in the right prompt, of course, you're not going to get the right output, and you continue to prompt and prompt and prompt until it becomes the prompting paralysis. So, I mean, that's my take on that. In terms of 90 days, it's not literal for me. It's good to start with training. Yes, it's good to start with awareness. But it's also not good to put the cat before the horse. So you must also start thinking of guidelines. So I also developed for another organization the AI user guidelines, because again, you are entering some dangerous territories when you begin to use AI. Yeah.
Interesting.
Over to you, Joel.
Interesting. Thank you very much. Interesting. All right. From this side of the world, usually when we want something, we want it now. All right. So when our executives take an interest in AI, they want it deployed in 90 days. They want it deployed overnight. And it's good to note that it is not a walk in a park. It's something that we must think through very well and be deliberate, intentional about the outcome we want to achieve. And I like the perspective of focusing first on what jobs must remain humans. So protect the people first, protect the roles that we need full control over, as the case is, and for the rest that we deploy, we ensure governance in place so that AI does not run amok, as the case is down the line. Okay, thank you very much. This is very instructive. We shall open up the chat and the mic for others to join and share a little bit down the line, but I'd like to take one more poll. Then after that poll, we can open up the conversation for others to join us and ask questions and share their perspective. So on your screen, you will see a poll that is currently showing. This is very straightforward. It says, who is accountable for AI-driven decisions in our organization today? So we'll allow 1 minute for us to respond to the poll. Do we have clearly defined roles? This is the AI manager. This is the chief AI officer in the organization, or is it a shared role between HR, IT, and different departments? or there's even no clarity. Anyone that comes up with an AI tool, we all join. What exactly is being, how is it done in our area? Thank you very much. Interesting. Thank you, MG. Thank you. Yes, let's get more feedback. Thank you. Okay, so we are going to wrap up the poll in another 10 seconds. Sorry for putting you under pressure, but we're also trying to respect your time also. Okay, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you very much for responding. Toby, this is an interesting poll. Let me share results to everybody so we can see what we got. We are getting an average across everywhere. So it's as if there is a fine blend, right? Where AI ownership and decision making is resident within the organization. It could also mean that there is still no structure around it across Africa, across our environment. There is no rule book on it. So each institution, based on what they feel or they think works for them, applies it in that particular area. But what do you think? What would have been the best approach?
So for me, this question talks about governance, so which we already started talking about. So this is where governance becomes real. If ownership is unclear, then accountability is already weak. And when accountability is weak in the area of AI, then you're going to have big challenges waiting for you up front. And there's been some, not so positive development in the area of governance right now. So right now, everybody, different people bring their AI tools to the office. So one guy is using OpenAI, the other guy is using Gemini, the other guy is using, there's so many of them out there. I don't know, at the last count, maybe there are 200 and something tools. Yeah. And then some people already have developed AI agents, like I've developed 7 on my own, for strategy, for recruitment, for CV reviews and rewriting, for coaching and mentoring, for turning meeting highlights into briefs for consultants, different kind of things that you can build your own agent. And of course, some people, before you know it, they will come with their own bots to do their work. And then there's someone will put you in trouble. One information that is not supposed to be out there will get on the internet, and then you're in trouble. So this is where the AI policy needs to develop as fast as possible. And of course, the guidelines. So those kind of go no go flows, where if it doesn't affect a human being or something like that, go. If it does affect a human being, don't go. Check with somebody. If it's not used for decision making, go ahead. If it's for decision making based on recruitment, do not go ahead. Stop. Go back to a human being to review. Those kind of flows, you need to have them, and then you need to have your AI policy. It's very important that that happens. But I'm not disappointed with the outcome of the poll. It shows that at least there's the awareness and people are trying to do one thing or the other. In some organizations, the AI policy is the baby of HR. In some other places, it's the baby of IT. And like you said, you've seen also in the poll, some CEOs are, kind of protecting that to make sure that, things don't go wrong. But we're getting to that point. One thing that I need to do is, if I just backtrack again, is around even work that needs decision making. And we say, oh, those must be human led. You still need to then decide which humans. I'm sorry, it's not derogatory, But it's like in medicine, and you say a surgeon must decide if surgery is needed for, I don't know, pancreas cancer or cancer of the lungs, whatever. Which human is taking that decision? It's not all the surgeons. Yeah, it is specific surgeons with specific experience. Yeah, that would take that decision. So even when you get to a point where you say humans must lead this part, you must still decide which humans. And that was the discussion between myself and one of my Danish friends over the weekend when I shared that article on LinkedIn, and we started discussing behind the scene and sharing the policy and the guidelines that I've developed. So it's still a developing space, but a lot is happening already. Over to you, Joel.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you very much. In fact, there was a case study of an organization that does remote work, right? So they allow their team members to do remote. And there's this young boy a Gen Z, who understands AI very well, built himself an AI agent. He did a bot, and that bot represents him in every meeting and everything they do. So he's always doing online while he goes around living his life as the case is. That's what you may get down the line if there's no governance.
No, we're already getting it. There's the story of a guy. I don't know whether it was in the US or UK. It's an IT guy, very experienced. And so what he did not even develop any bot or whatever, or agent. He just outsourced his job to another engineer in India, and he was paying like 1/10 of his salary to that guy. And the guy was just sitting at the beach and drinking his pina colada and going around the world and just living good. And his job was being done by another person in India who probably had an AI agent, is very good with coding, and he kept doing the work. So you're going to have a lot of that. And of course, that guy would then handle sensitive customer data. So it will not only be that, excuse me, that they are infringing on the company's policy or the customer's data, but also even national, it will be a crime across borders, GDPR. So there are some data of some nationals that you cannot, transport across border. Somebody else in now another country dealing with those data, it's going to be a big challenge. So that's why we really need to be careful in this space. Yeah.
Thank you very much. All right. So for Africa, what's the advantage, right? Interestingly, Africa is one nation that is behind when it comes to data and infrastructure. However, we are an institution that is full of young people that are adaptable. We don't have too many old ones. That means they are native to some of these things we are talking about. So it is easy if we prime them properly for them to adopt the systems that we're bringing on board at this point in time. And it gives us the opportunity to be able to build a lot. A lot of technology in Africa is mobile first. Almost everything brought here is already mobile ready. Unlike institutions nations that have things that are outside mobile and they are trying to transit into mobile. So that's some opportunity that we have. That's also not to say that there are no constraints. Africa has some constraints. One, data is an issue. Is that also?
Yep. Sure. But yeah, like you said, the demography is really our strength. The eagerness to learn is our strength. The high IQ of the young population in Africa is also a major strength. And right now we have Africans sitting in Africa and working for global organizations, across the world. And in any field that you get into, and in the area of AI, you would see a lot of Nigerians. We are leading, for example, there are a lot of African-founded fintechs, startups that are fantastic, that their businesses are based on AI and AI usage. I mean, I belong to some venture capital group, and the kind of companies, the startups that come to bid, to pitch, for funding. I mean, it's awesome to see these guys come around. And when you see the kind of things they are developing, it's awesome, really. So we have a lot of intelligent people around. But put that side by side again, we also have a lot of people, young generation, who are not interested in the usage of AI. Yeah. So they are very good on TikTok. They are good on social media and Facebook and Instagram and X, whatever. And when you say, "Oh, why don't you use AI to do these things?" So because I mean, you can build your own agent and you don't have to be in every place at the same time. And they'll say, "Oh no, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in AI." Oh, do you know how much data AI is consuming, and AI is polluting the environment of the world? You know, so much energy that AI is using, which is true. Yeah, but should that be the reason why you will not take up an interest in AI? I don't know. But that's also like a challenge that we have.
Okay, thank you. It's like banning the internet in order to keep the libraries open.
That's spot on.
Anyway, the Q&A is now open. Feel free to share your questions. We'll have a nice question on the chat. MG asked a question. It says, is Africa behind because labor is cheap? Or is it because of automation is seen as expensive? Why perhaps is Africa behind?
This is my sense, okay? It's not, it's my sense. The global South generally, we're always kind of behind because this thing starts from the global North. It starts from the Western world and it goes around the Western world before it begins to trickle down to the global South in terms of how money that you need. I mean, just think about it. The Nvidias of this world, you know, the Microsoft of this world, you know, the alphabets of this world. Where are they based? Of course, they have branches in Africa, but everything is happening in, you know, some labs in the US or in Canada or in the UK and wherever. So that's where most of them start from. Even the African startups that we have who are largely AI driven, as many of their founders are based abroad. They are not based in Africa. Secondly, I think it's about the ease of doing business. You know, like I said, AI business needs a lot of energy, a lot of energy. So how are you going to put data centers in Africa, for example? I mean, let's take, for example, Nigeria. I don't know how many hours of, electricity that we get. Yeah, power that we get. So that's going to be, you know, killing you. That business may not survive. Yeah, and if it survives, then it will not be able to compete because again, the cost of energy will just strangulate the business. So again, it's also about government policies and the encouragement that, you know, government, you know, kind of in through policies and kind of infrastructure that governments across Africa are able to, you know, create, develop, and make available to the people to be able to then develop themselves in this area. So it's multifaceted really, and it's the challenge is there. But again, the awareness is there that we need to get into this. Hopefully, that's a good start. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So this means that even though an institution, Africa is bedeviled by this thing, an institution can choose to rise above it and recreate some of the things it needs in order to be able to remain successful down the line. Thanks a lot. So the mic is open. If you have any questions, you're free to ask. We'll just wait for a couple of minutes before we wrap up our session. So I have a question, all right? So it's clear that the outcome of some AI adoption is on the bad side for people in terms of staff and labor, right? There's also, isn't there creation of new roles that these people can pivot into, that AI is hemorrhaging staff? How do we move some of those staff to those new roles AI is creating?
Well, the thing is, you will not jump in front of a moving train. Once something starts in the world, it keeps rolling and moving. And the best thing you can do is to find a way to embrace that change. So I don't want to go into all those things about the mantra about change, is a permanent thing in life, blah, blah, blah. We don't need to go rehash all of that. What people need to do, in terms of individuals and organizations, is to face reality. Because when you face reality early, then it helps you to look around the edges and begin to develop your options. So
Yes.
if you come up with your model and you say it's 50-50 model instead of 70-30, it's 50% AI and 50% humans, whatever. At least you have something in your head what you want to work towards. And then, of course, what it means is that the talent that you hemorrhage can always find work in other places or in other spheres or in other sectors. Now, let's face the fact, the whole world will not catch up at the same time. So that's the other thing. So as the global north is catching up, even right now, you cannot say it's all the organizations. Maybe in some countries in the Western world, maybe it's just 10% of people of organizations that are already latching up. But the about 40% already are having an AI strategy. They are already discussing the strategy, and then of course they will develop the plan to turn that strategy into action. So in the next 24 months to 36 months, that space will develop so rapidly. So it will just look like, where did all these people come from? So, but like I said, it's not the whole world that will catch up at the same time. But yes, we would end up emerging more talent in Africa, definite. And this is the reason why governments need to wake up and organizations need to wake up. Individuals also need to wake up on their own.
Okay. Thank you very much. So Emmanuel says that what layer in the AI layer we mentioned earlier, the adoption that we mentioned earlier, is the deployment of ERP and the will it
that's
be
automation.
In the oh yes, automation. Will automation be 100% human-led, AI-led?
So there is automation, there is AI. Within AI, there is AI tool, but there is AI agent. And then, of course, human. Now, automation is not AI, especially when you begin to talk about AI agents. So let me just give you a very simple example. I created an agent that helps my clients, score the internet, specific websites, those who are looking for jobs. Yeah. And my AI agent gives me the totality of all the jobs that came out last week. It will give it to me 9 o'clock Monday morning, every week. So that those guys don't need to go and start looking at LinkedIn or Indeed or Jobberman or whatever. I'll specify all of that. And the AI agent does the work. And then it spills it out to me on Monday morning by 9 a.m. Okay, that's an agent. Now, it can go further because the CV is there, it's broken down. It will then optimize the CV for each role, if that is the mandate that we have, and then do the application, do the cover letter, all of those kind of things. But this is where you now talk about AI and human validation. Now, that person then needs to validate, because sometimes AI can overstate things or understate things. And this is where your prompt engineering comes in again, and you put in some things more and more and more, whatever. And so when you hear people say, I submit 100 applications in a week, 200 applications in a week, you can do that. But it's your AI agent doing it. If you do it personally, then that means you can't do any other work. And that's the truth. So automation, it's there, but that's not AI agent. And of course, you can move from AI agent, levels of AI agents. So if you get a bot, that's even a higher level, because that one does even much more things than you would even require. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And thank you all for sharing with us on this particular session. Before we go, we'd like to take the last poll. Can I take the last poll? Just 1 minute. All right. The last poll is launched. You will see it on your screen. This will take us a minute. Please be patient. It says, what percentage of work in your organization could be done by AI today? All right? 20%, 40%, 60%, above 60%. What percentage do you feel that could be done by AI? Interesting. Okay. So wait for another 30 seconds and then we'll wrap up this the poll. Okay. It's very interesting. About half of us have responded, and it's indicating that more than half of the jobs in most organizations belongs to AI. This is interesting. Okay, we shall close the poll in 10 seconds. Okay, so that will be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you. So let's share the results. So this is what we got. Yes, Tommy.
Yeah. So if you add the first one to the second one, then you maybe have like 60%, an average of the last two. Now, this question was just a trick question. It does not matter the numbers you choose. What I wanted to bring out here is that whatever number you choose, this is not a future question. It is a question for today. It's not a question for 5 years' time, 10 years' time. It's a question for today, and it is a design question for today. That's what I wanted to bring out. And so it is time for, CHROs, CEOs, COOs, talent people to begin to think about this at the back of the mind to say, hey, the work I do today, if they break it down into these 4 layers, which part would require me as a human being to continue to do? And which part will be AI and which part will be automation? That's just the reason why I put up that question. It's not to make you agonize over anything. It's not to scare anybody. I think it's to bring the reality home. Like Arsenal supporters. Sorry.
Okay, thank you very much. So I'll stop sharing that. Interestingly, this shows that on the average, 30%, we feel average of everything, 30% should be AI. And this brings us back to the 70-30 model we said earlier, 70% AI, 30% human. But in this case, in this part of the world, or for the audience in this session right now, 30% should be AI and 70% should be human-led or human-validated as the case is.
But don't forget that some part of it are already automated. So by the time you join the AI to it,
it's going to be higher. It's going to be higher. A couple of institutions already are using some co-pilots. So yes, there's a lot already in place for those who have purchased premium OEM applications. Right. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you for sharing with us, engaging with us, and giving us the opportunity to share with you perspectives as the cases. But note, you cannot fix what you don't understand. So let's spend some time learning more and appreciating more. All right. AI now impacts every part of our business. So HR should be in the front end trying to support the business and the organization on how they are doing. If we don't align properly, it's going to cost us a lot. We're going to double spend in the future. So there's need for clarity, and we need to look at very well what we can do with AI. Next action. Reach out to Tommy in case if you want to engage institutionally to find out what can be done in your own organization, or for baby steps, right? What should be your first step? What are your current scenarios as the cases? Or reach out to us at P4P Institute. We have an AI transformation diagnostic tool. So if you can reach out to us, we can also share the tool with you. You can diagnose your entire institution, especially at the executive level. So you know where your priorities are. And then you begin the journey of implementation at that point in time. AI cannot be done in 1 hour of webinar. There are some people who have spent 4 years, PhD, DBA, trying to unravel what to do with AI. So please don't stop here, right? Become a student of this, continue to learn and advance. Tommy, thank you so much for giving us audience and being here with us. We feel honored to have you despite your very tight schedule. He just jumped out of another meeting in order to jump into this call. And he has a very tight schedule. Thank you so much for creating this time.
Thank you, Joel, and thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for having me.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you all. We'll meet again next month about the same time for another interesting webinar. And we shall share with you what the topic is and who our guest is. Do enjoy your evening. And this is me signing off from here. Goodbye.